First Contact's Deception. Admiral Maya Patel stood before the massive holographic display in the heart of Luna Command, her weathered face illuminated by the ghostly blue light of thousands of stars. The year was 2218, and humanity's greatest secret was about to be tested. Multiple quantum signatures detected at the edge of the Kuiper Belt, announced Captain James Rodriguez, his neural implants streaming data directly to the command center's eye. Energy patterns matched the hegemony vessels we've been tracking. Maya allowed herself a grim smile. For 15 years, humanity had known about the galactic hegemony, an empire spanning hundreds of star systems, built on the bones of uplifted civilizations. They called it advancement. Maya called it conquest. "Show me their approach vector," she commanded. The holographic display shifted, revealing 3 sleek vessels cutting through the darkness of space. Their crystalline hulls sparkled like diamonds, a testament to their technological sophistication, or rather, what they believed to be sophistication. Their broadcasting, Admiral Rodriguez reported, standard first contact protocols, just like the other systems we've monitored. They're expecting to find pre-FTL civilization. The deception had begun the moment humanity detected their first hegemony communication. Instead of announcing their own FTL breakthrough, Earth's United Council had chosen a different path. They had watched, learned, and prepared. "Status of Operation Looking Glass?" Maya asked, though she already knew the answer. She'd helped design the protocol herself. "All surface installations are masked," responded Dr. Elena Santos, their chief of strategic operations. Her dark eyes reflected the holographic stars as she manipulated the data streams. "They'll see exactly what they expect: fossil fuel power plants, chemical rockets, and primitive satellite networks. The quantum shroud is holding steady." The quantum shroud was humanity's masterpiece, a vast network of energy fields that could mask advanced technology while projecting false signatures. To the hegemony sensors, Earth would appear to be a promising but primitive world, ripe for uplifting. They had no idea that beneath that carefully crafted illusion, humanity had surpassed many of their technological achievements. The lunar bases weren't just research stations. They were fortress cities, housing millions. Mars wasn't a dream of future colonization. It was home to billions, its underground metropolises powered by zero-point reactors that the hegemony thought impossible. "They're launching atmospheric probes," Rodriguez announced. "Standard pattern, matching their previous first contact protocols." Maya nodded, watching the small devices descend toward Earth's atmosphere. "Let them see what they expect to see. Dr. Santos, are the quantum mirrors in position?" "Yes, Admiral. The probes will detect exactly what we want them to: pollution, primitive electromagnetic communications, and early-stage space flight capability, all carefully crafted to match their expectations." The real Earth was far different. Pollution had been eliminated decades ago, replaced by clean quantum energy. The seemingly primitive satellites were facades, hiding a network of quantum communication relays that spanned the solar system. And those chemical rockets, mere props, while humanity's true fleet lay hidden in dimensional pocket spaces throughout the system. "Incoming transmission from the hegemony vessels," Rodriguez reported. "They're using basic electromagnetic signals, assuming we can't detect their quantum communications." Maya straightened her uniform, midnight blue fabric shimming with embedded quantum particles. "Record everything. Every scan, every transmission. We need to know exactly how they proceed with first contact. The more we understand their protocols, the better we can predict their invasion timeline," Elena finished. "Based on previous patterns, they'll likely begin their uplifting process within 5 standard years." 5 years. Maya had fought hard for this strategy in the Council. Some had wanted immediate contact to demonstrate humanity's strength. Others had advocated for isolation, hiding their true capabilities indefinitely. But Maya had seen a third option: let the hegemony think they had the upper hand, while preparing a response they'd never expect. "Status of the Ghost Fleet?" she asked. Alina's hands danced through the holographic interface. All vessels at ready status. The quantum fold drives are tested and proven. Combat AIs are fully integrated, and the dimensional shields are operating at peak efficiency. We can have 5,000 ships deployed in under 3 minutes. Maya watched as the hegemony probes continued their survey, blissfully unaware that they were seeing exactly what humanity wanted them to see. In their arrogance, they assumed any civilization without their level of quantum technology must be primitive. They never considered that someone might advance along a different path, might discover principles of physics they hadn't even imagined. Let them come, Maya said softly, watching the alien ships glide through their solar system. Let them think we're helpless. Let them prepare their grand invasion fleet. She turned to face her officers, determination etched on her features. Because when they return, they'll learn that humanity isn't what they expected. We're not another primitive species to be conquered and uplifted. We're their worst nightmare, a civilization that saw them coming and prepared accordingly. The first phase of humanity's greatest deception was underway. The hegemony would return, believing they faced an easy conquest. Instead, they would encounter a force that had spent years studying their every weakness, developing countermeasures to their every advantage. They would learn, too late, that humanity had turned their own arrogance into a weapon against them. And when that day came, the galaxy would learn a valuable lesson. Never underestimate a species that had spent its entire history preparing for the worst while hoping for the best. Humanity was ready. The only question was, would the hegemony survive the lesson? Project Phoenix Rising. Deep beneath the Martian surface, in a facility that officially didn't exist, Dr. Samira Khan watched as her life's work took shape. The massive quantum forge pulsed with energy, its core a swirling vortex of possibilities made manifest. Around her, dozens of scientists and engineers monitored streams of data, their neural interfaces glowing softly in the dim light. Phase cohesion holding at 99.8%, announced her assistant, Dr. Marcus Webb, his eyes flickering with the augmented reality feed. The new quantum matrix is stable. Samira allowed herself a moment of pride. What they were attempting had been deemed impossible by the hegemony's best scientists. Their understanding of quantum mechanics was linear, predictable. Humanity had taken a different approach. Begin production sequence, she ordered. Let's see if our theoretical models hold up in practice. The quantum forge hummed to life, its energy field intensifying. Within its heart, matter itself began to dance to a new rhythm, forming structures that shouldn't exist according to conventional physics. This wasn't just manufacturing. It was reality engineering on a fundamental level. Dr. Khan, a familiar voice called from the entrance. Admiral Patel strode into the facility, accompanied by her strategic advisor, Elena Santos. I hope you have good news for us. Samira gestured to the forge. See for yourself, Admiral. We're about to test the first production run of quantum-shifted hull plating. If it works as designed, it will make our ships virtually invulnerable to hegemony weapons. The forge's output chamber opened with a soft hiss, revealing a sheet of material that seemed to both exist and not exist simultaneously. It shifted between states, its surface rippling with patterns that hurt the eyes to look at directly. Remarkable, Elena breathed, her scientist's curiosity overwhelming her usual professional detachment. You've actually done it. You've created matter that exists in multiple quantum states simultaneously. More than that, Samira explained, pride evident in her voice. We've created matter that can actively choose which quantum state to occupy based on external threats. When hegemony energy weapons hit this material, it will simply shift to a state where those weapons have no effect. Admiral Patel ran a hand over the material, feeling its impossible texture. And production can be scaled up. The forges are ready, Marcus confirmed, bringing up detailed production schedules. We can begin outfitting the Ghost Fleet within months. But that's not all we've achieved. Samira led them to another section of the facility, where rows of sleek devices lined the walls. These are our answer to their quantum communication network. We're calling them quantum echo drives. They don't just allow faster-than-light travel," Marcus added. "They let us manipulate the quantum substrate of space itself. We can create false signals, redirect their sensors, even temporarily alter the fundamental constants of physics in a localized area." Admiral Patel's eyes widened slightly, the most surprise he ever showed. "You're telling me we can change the laws of physics?" "Within limits," Samara cautioned. "But yes, the hegemony built their entire civilization on their understanding of quantum mechanics. We've learned how to rewrite those rules." The implications were staggering. The hegemony's technological superiority was based on their mastery of quantum physics, but humanity had pushed beyond, finding loopholes and possibilities they had never imagined. "Show me the combat applications," Admiral Patel requested. Marcus activated a holographic display, showing simulated battles. Their weapons rely on quantum state manipulation to bypass conventional shields. Our hull plating doesn't just block these attacks, it redirects them. We can turn their own weapons against them, or simply make their attacks cease to exist from our frame of reference. Elena studied the simulations intently, and our offensive capabilities. Samara smiled. "That's where it gets interesting." She led them to a sealed chamber at the heart of the facility. Inside, a single prototype weapon hung suspended in a containment field. It looked deceptively simple, a sleek cylinder barely larger than a human arm. "We call it the reality lance," she explained. "It doesn't fire energy or particles. It fires possibilities." "Possibilities?" Admiral Patel raised an eyebrow. "It creates a quantum cascade effect," Marcus elaborated. "When it hits a target, it forces that target to experience every possible quantum state simultaneously. The effect lasts only microseconds, but that's enough. No structure, no matter how advanced, can maintain coherence under those conditions." Admiral Patel nodded slowly, understanding the implications. Their ships would tear themselves apart at the quantum level. "Precisely," Samara confirmed. "But unlike conventional weapons, this leaves no radiation, no debris. The target simply ceases to be, its component particles scattered across probability space." The Admiral was silent for a long moment, considering the power they had created. "Can it be defended against?" "Not with any technology the hegemony possesses," Samara assured her. "Their understanding of quantum mechanics is too rigid, too limited. They see quantum effects as tools to be used. We've learned to speak the language of reality itself." Elena was already calculating tactical applications. "With these technologies, combined with our quantum shroud, we could end a war before they even realize it's begun." "That's not our goal," Admiral Patel reminded them. "We don't want to destroy the hegemony. We want to show them that their way isn't the only way. That forcing their version of advancement on others isn't the path to true progress." Samira understood. Project Phoenix wasn't just about developing superior weapons. It was about changing the fundamental balance of power in the galaxy. The hegemony had spent millennia believing they were the pinnacle of technological achievement. Humanity was about to show them just how wrong they were. "How soon until everything is ready?" Admiral Patel asked. 3 months for full production of the hull plating," Samara replied. "Another 2 for the quantum echo drives. The reality lances, those are trickier. We want to be absolutely certain they can't be used against us if captured." "You have 2 months," the Admiral declared. "Our intelligence suggests the hegemony is accelerating their plans. They've begun assembling their uplift fleet earlier than expected." Samira exchanged glances with Marcus. 2 months to perfect technologies that rewrote the laws of physics. It would have seemed impossible once, but humanity had made a habit of achieving the impossible. "We'll be ready," she promised. "When they come, they'll find that humanity has surpassed everything they thought they knew about the universe." As Admiral Patel and Elena departed, Samira turned back to her work. In labs and forges across the solar system, humanity was preparing for a confrontation that would reshape the galaxy. The hegemony thought they were coming to uplift a primitive species. Instead, they would encounter a civilization that had transcended their understanding of what was possible. Project Phoenix was living up to its name. From the ashes of humanity's perceived primitive status, a new power was rising, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Empire strikes. High Commander Xareth stood on the bridge of the hegemony flagship, Eternal Dominion, his iridescent scales gleaming under the ship's ambient lighting. The massive viewscreen showed Earth hanging in space, a jewel of blue and white that would soon join the hegemony's vast empire. Status of the Uplift Fleet, he commanded, his translator converting his sibilant speech into standard hegemony communication format. All vessels in position. High Commander, his second, Versal, reported. 200 ships arranged in standard uplift formation. Our sensors confirm the primitives have detected us. Their primitive electromagnetic communications are in chaos. Xareth's mouth parts curved in what his species considered a smile. These moments were always satisfying, watching a primitive species realize they weren't alone in the universe, just before showing them their rightful place in the grand hierarchy of the hegemony. Begin the standard approach. Broadcast the uplift protocols. In Luna Command, Admiral Maya Patel watched the hegemony fleet's approach with calculated patience. Around her, the command center hummed with activity, but there was no panic, no fear, only readiness. They're moving exactly as predicted, Elena Santos reported, her neural interface processing streams of tactical data. Standard uplift formation. Shields at minimal power. They're not expecting any resistance. Maya nodded. Dr. Khan, status of our countermeasures. Samira's holographic avatar appeared in the command center, her form slightly translucent but steady. All systems are green, Admiral. The quantum shroud is still holding. They're seeing exactly what we want them to see. Ghost Fleet is ready for deployment on your command. On the Eternal Dominion, Versal frowned at his instruments. High Commander, I'm detecting some unusual quantum fluctuations in the local space-time fabric. Expected, Xareth dismissed. Their primitive nuclear technologies often cause such distortions. Nothing that will interfere with the uplift process. Begin the demonstration of our power. The hegemony fleet's forward batteries powered up, preparing to fire a carefully calculated shot that would disable Earth's primitive satellite network. It was meant to be a show of force, demonstrating their technological superiority while causing minimal damage. They never got the chance to fire. Now, Maya commanded. Across the solar system, reality shifted. The quantum shroud that had hidden humanity's true capabilities for years dissolved, revealing what had been there all along. Massive orbital defense platforms phased into existence around Earth and its colonies. The Ghost Fleet emerged from dimensional pocket space, 5,000 ships appearing simultaneously in a perfectly choreographed dance of impossible physics. On the Eternal Dominion's bridge, alarm screamed. High Commander, Versal's voice cracked with shock. Multiple vessels appearing, everywhere. Energy readings off the scale. This is impossible. Xareth stared in disbelief as his tactical display transformed. Where moments ago, there had been a primitive pre-space civilization. Now there was a massive military force that surrounded his fleet completely. The ships he was seeing. Their design was like nothing in the hegemony database. Their whole configurations defying known physics. Impossible, he whispered. They were primitive. We saw. This is Admiral Maya Patel of the Earth Defense Force. A calm voice transmitted across all frequencies, automatically translated into hegemony standard. Your fleet is surrounded. Power down your weapons and shields immediately. Xareth's training took over. This is some trick. Some primitive attempt at deception. All ships, battle formations. Show these primitives the true power of the hegemony. As you wish, Maya's voice replied, almost sadly. The hegemony fleet opened fire, their quantum state weapons lashing out with enough power to shatter planets. The humans had studied these weapons for years, knew exactly how they worked, and had prepared accordingly. The energy beams struck the human ships and simply ceased to exist. The quantum-shifted hull plating didn't just absorb or deflect the attacks, it rewrote their fundamental properties, turning destructive energy into harmless light. Impossible. Versal screamed. Our weapons, they're having no effect. All ships, Maya commanded across the human fleet's neural network. Execute Containment Protocol Alpha. Minimal force. We're here to teach, not destroy. The Ghost Fleet moved with impossible precision, their quantum echo drives allowing them to shift through space in ways the hegemony had never imagined possible. Ships appeared and disappeared, dancing through dimensions, their movements coordinated by AIs operating at quantum speeds. Reality lances powered up across the human fleet, their target locks resolving. They weren't aimed at the hegemony ships themselves, but at carefully calculated points in space around them. Fire, Maya ordered. The reality lances activated. They didn't fire beams or projectiles. They fired possibility itself. Space around the hegemony fleet twisted as quantum cascades rippled through reality. Their shields, designed to stop energy and matter, were useless against weapons that rewrote the laws of physics themselves. On the Eternal Dominion, systems began failing as local spacetime tied itself in knots. Quantum field generators overloaded, trying to compensate for changes in fundamental constants that shouldn't have been possible. High Commander, Versal reported, his voice shaking. We've lost weapons control. Shields are offline. Quantum drive is non-responsive. They're rewriting physics itself. Evdarith stared at the tactical display, watching his mighty fleet become helpless in minutes, not through superior firepower or overwhelming numbers, but through technology that simply shouldn't have existed. These humans hadn't just advanced along the hegemony's path, they'd found an entirely different way to manipulate reality. This is impossible, he repeated, but with less conviction. We are the hegemony. We are the most advanced civilization in known space. How did you hide this from us? Because you saw what you expected to see, Maya's voice replied. Your arrogance was our greatest weapon. You never considered that a species might advance differently than you did, that we might find pathways to manipulate reality that you never imagined. The human fleet had completely contained the hegemony forces now without destroying a single ship. It was a demonstration not just of superior technology, but of superior strategy and ethics. Your fleet is disabled, Maya continued. You have two choices, High Commander. You can surrender, and we can begin a dialogue as equals. Or you can force us to demonstrate more of our capabilities. The choice is yours. Farith looked at his helpless fleet, at the impossible human ships that had just rewritten everything he thought he knew about physics and warfare. For the first time in his long career, he felt something he'd never expected to feel toward a supposedly primitive species: fear. This, he said slowly, will change everything. That, Maya replied, was exactly the point. The Battle of Earth was over, but its implications would ripple across the galaxy, forever changing the balance of power. The hegemony had come expecting to find primitives to uplift. Instead, they had found a civilization that would force them to question everything they thought they knew about the nature of progress, power, and possibility. Turning the tide. The hegemony Central Council chamber on Axis Prime had never seen such chaos. Representatives from 100 worlds argued in a cacophony of translated voices, their species' various gestures of agitation, creating a bizarre dance of tentacles, appendages, and color-changing skin. The humans must be contained, shouted Council Leader Zixal, his crystalline form pulsing with alarmed patterns. They possess technology that defies the natural order. Dr. Elena Santos stood calmly in the center of the chamber, her holographic form projected across 20 light-years through humanity's quantum network. Behind her, the image of a disabled hegemony fleet hung in space. High Commander Xareth's entire task force, neutralized without a single casualty. "There is no natural order," Elena replied. Her voice automatically translated for each species present. "Only the limitations of our understanding. We're here to show you a different path." In the quantum-shifted observation room above the chamber, Admiral Maya Patel watched through one-way dimensional barriers as humanity's diplomatic offensive unfolded. Beside her, Dr. Samira Khan monitored the quantum fluctuations that kept their presence hidden from even the hegemony's most sophisticated sensors. "Phase 2 is ready," Samira reported quietly. "Our quantum probes have mapped their entire defense network. The backdoors are in place." Maya nodded. "And the Liberation Fleet? In position near every major hegemony subjugation center. The conquered species don't even know we're there yet. We're waiting for your signal." In the council chamber, Zixhal was reaching the crescendo of his speech. "The hegemony has maintained order for 10,000 years. We uplift primitive species, guide them to civilization, maintain the proper hierarchy. You enslave them," Elena interrupted, her tone still measured but carrying an edge of steel. "You force them to advance along your predetermined path, crush any technological development that doesn't match your doctrine, and call it guidance." She gestured, and new holograms appeared. Images from 100 worlds showing the true nature of hegemony, uplifting. Forced labor camps disguised as education centers. Quantum control collars that prevented independent research. Entire species reduced to serving the hegemony's vision of proper civilization. "But that ends today," Elena continued. "We've spent years studying your methods, finding ways to counter them. And now we're going to give these species a choice." Zixhal's crystalline form flashed warning patterns. "You dare threaten the hegemony? Our combined fleets are already neutralized." Elena finished for him. Above the chamber, Maya gave the signal. Across hegemony space, reality rippled as humanity's liberation fleet decloaked. 5,000 ships appearing simultaneously near every major subjugation center. But they weren't there to attack. In the council chamber, the holographic displays erupted with new information as quantum cascade effects rippled through the hegemony's network. Every quantum control collar simultaneously deactivated. Every suppression field fell. Every piece of hegemony technology that maintained their forced hierarchy simply stopped working. "What have you done?" Zixhal's voice carried genuine fear now. "We've given them a choice," Elena replied. "For the first time in generations, these species can choose their own path. We're not here to replace your empire with ours. We're here to end the very concept of forced uplift." On 100 worlds, former slave species were discovering their freedom. Humanity's quantum network was opening up to them, offering knowledge, technology, and most importantly, choices. "You'll destroy the galaxy's stability," one council member shouted. "These primitive species aren't ready for such freedom." "That's what you said about us," Elena reminded them. "You saw what you expected to see, a primitive species ready for conquest. Instead, you found one that had surpassed you. How many other species might surprise you, if given the chance?" Maya watched as the council chamber erupted into fresh chaos. Everything was proceeding exactly as planned. The hegemony's power wasn't just being broken, it was being transformed. "Signal from the Liberation Fleet," Samira reported. "The Arxer have already made contact. They're requesting technological assistance to free their homeworld. The Novan Collective is offering their support as well." "Coordinate with them," Maya ordered. "But remember the primary directive. We guide, we assist, but we don't control. Every species must find its own path." In the chamber below, Elena was delivering the final part of humanity's message. "The age of the hegemony is over, but this doesn't have to mean war. We're offering you a chance to be part of something new. A true alliance of species, each developing along their own path, sharing knowledge rather than forcing conformity." She paused, letting her words sink in. "The choice, as always, is yours. But know this, humanity will not allow the forced uplift of any species ever again. We have the technology to enforce this policy and the will to use it. Zixal's crystalline form had dimmed to a dull pulse. You would destroy 10,000 years of order to give billions of beings a chance at true freedom. Elena smiled. Yes, because that's what humanity does. We break chains, even ones made of quantum energy and good intentions. Above the chamber, Maya received another update. The hegemony's quantum defense network is fully compromised. Their fleets are still locked down by our reality anchors. We have total strategic superiority. Perfect, Maya replied. Now comes the hard part, helping them all build something better. Across the galaxy, species that had been forced into the hegemony's vision of civilization were awakening to new possibilities. Humanity's quantum network was offering them access to different technologies, different paths of advancement. Some were already forming alliances, sharing their own unique discoveries that the hegemony had suppressed. Update from Earth, Samira reported. The Council has approved the establishment of the Galactic Scientific Exchange. Dr. Khan's team is already coordinating with 3 former hegemony species on quantum physics research. Maya allowed herself a small smile. This was what humanity had spent years preparing for, not just defeating the hegemony, but helping build something better in its place. A galaxy where different paths to advancement were celebrated, not suppressed. Send word to all fleet elements, she ordered. Operation Liberation is complete. Begin Phase 3, Project Renaissance. The galaxy was changing. The rigid hierarchy of the hegemony was giving way to something new, something more chaotic, but infinitely more vibrant. Humanity had done what it did best, found a different way, broken the established order, and offered hope to those who had none. And this was only the beginning. A new dawn. 5 years after the fall of the hegemony, the Great Hall of Cooperation on Mars hosted representatives from over 300 species. The vast chamber, built into the heart of Olympus Mons, showcased the fusion of various technological philosophies that had emerged in the new era. Quantum field generators hummed alongside biological computers, while psychic resonance enhancers worked in harmony with traditional AI systems. Admiral Maya Patel, now serving as Earth's representative to the Galactic Cooperation Council, stood at her podium, watching the assembled delegates with quiet satisfaction. Beside her, Dr. Elena Santos reviewed the latest reports from the technological exchange programs that had transformed the galaxy. The Arxur have successfully combined their biological engineering with Novan quantum mechanics, Elena reported. They're growing ships that can phase through dimensional barriers, something the hegemony would have called impossible just a few years ago. Maya nodded. And the former hegemony species. Most have adapted well to the new order. The freedom to explore different technological paths has led to some remarkable breakthroughs. The Crystalline Collective, formerly led by Zixal, has become one of our strongest allies in promoting technological diversity. The main doors opened, admitting Dr. Samira Khan, accompanied by a delegation that would have been unthinkable under the old regime. A hovering Arxur scientist floated beside a crystalline hegemony researcher, while a massive Novan engineer prowled on 6 legs, their tentacles manipulating holographic displays. Together, they had achieved what the hegemony had deemed impossible: true cooperation between radically different species. The Multi-Dimensional Research Initiative is ready to present their findings, Samira announced, her eyes bright with excitement. We've discovered entirely new layers of reality by combining different species' perspectives on quantum mechanics. Maya gestured for them to proceed. The center of the hall erupted in a complex holographic display, showing the true nature of the universe, not as the hegemony had understood it, but as multiple species working together had revealed it to be. By combining human quantum manipulation, Arxur biological computing, Novan energy fields, and crystalline dimensional mathematics, the Arxur scientist explained, their translator rendering their musical language perfectly. We've discovered that reality has infinite potential paths of advancement. The hegemony's single path was not just limiting, it was blocking access to entire dimensions of possibility. The crystalline researcher, whom Maya recognized as Zixhal's former assistant, pulsed with patterns of agreement. Our rigid adherence to one technological philosophy nearly cost us the greatest discovery in our history: that different approaches to science don't conflict, they complement. The Novan engineers' tentacles wove complex patterns in the air. We have created something unprecedented: technology that adapts to the user's natural tendencies rather than forcing them to adapt to it. Each species can advance along their own path while still contributing to the greater whole. Maya remembered the early days after the hegemony's fall, when many had feared chaos would consume the galaxy. Instead, something beautiful had emerged from the freedom to explore, to differ, to cooperate without conformity. "Show them the Nexus," Samira suggested. The holographic display shifted, showing a massive structure taking shape in deep space. The technological nexus was humanity's gift to the galaxy, a vast research station where any species could come to explore, learn, and contribute. Its design incorporated elements from hundreds of different technological philosophies, each strengthening the others. "We've confirmed participation from over 500 research teams," Elena reported. Species that were bitter enemies under the hegemony are now working together, discovering that their different approaches to science create possibilities neither could achieve alone. The Arxer scientists bobbed in their gravity field. The humans showed us that true advancement comes not from forcing everyone down the same path, but from letting each species find their own way forward. The combinations of these different paths have led to discoveries we never imagined possible. Maya stepped forward to address the assembled delegates. 5 years ago, we faced a choice. We could have used our technological superiority to become the new hegemony, forcing our own vision of progress on the galaxy. Instead, we chose to trust in the power of diversity, of freedom, of cooperation without conformity. She gestured to the displayed achievements of various species. "Look at what we've achieved together." The Arxer's living ships now protect trade routes that the hegemony once controlled through force. The Novan Collective's energy matrices power worlds that were once kept dependent on hegemony technology. The Crystalline Alliance's dimensional mathematics have opened new frontiers of exploration. And humanity asked a delegate from a newly spacefaring species, "What have you gained from this new order?" Maya smiled. "We've gained exactly what we hoped for. A galaxy where every species is free to advance in their own way, where different paths to progress are celebrated rather than suppressed. Our technology is no longer our greatest achievement. Our greatest achievement is helping create a society where technology serves freedom rather than control." The former hegemony researchers' crystalline form pulsed with agreement patterns. "We thought we were the pinnacle of advancement. The humans showed us we were merely standing still, afraid to explore new paths. Now, every day brings new discoveries as different species combine their unique perspectives on reality." Samira stepped forward, her eyes on the holographic display of the Nexus. "The next phase begins today. The Nexus will be opening its doors to every species in known space, regardless of their current technological level. No more artificial hierarchies, no more forced paths of development. Just infinite possibilities waiting to be explored." The chamber erupted in approving sounds from 100 different species. Maya watched as former enemies discussed joint research projects, as species the hegemony had deemed primitive, shared insights that left advanced races stunned, as the galaxy reshaped itself into something new and wonderful. "It worked better than we could have hoped," Elena said quietly beside her. "Not just breaking the hegemony's power, but building something better in its place." Maya nodded, "Because we remembered what makes humanity special. Not just our technology, not just our ability to innovate, but our ability to imagine better possibilities. We didn't just give them freedom, we gave them hope." As the session concluded, Maya looked out over the assembled species and felt a deep sense of satisfaction. The galaxy had awakened from the long dream of the hegemony into something far more vibrant and alive. Humanity had done what it did best, not just solving problems, but redefining them, finding ways to turn obstacles into opportunities. The age of enforced conformity was over. The age of infinite possibility had begun, and somewhere out there, in the vast expanses of space, new species were emerging, ready to find their own paths to the stars. When they arrived, they would find not an empire waiting to conquer them, but a cooperation of species ready to welcome them as equals. The future was no longer a single path, but an infinite web of possibilities, and that was humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy: the freedom to choose, to differ, to grow, and to discover that the universe was far more wonderful than anyone had imagined.